So what do they say? Always go with your gut. Go with your first instinct, right? And my first instinct, as I said, was that Froch, who is Bute fought? That's what I said in my first prediction video. And, you know, how tough Froch is. And that he's a reasonably smart fighter. And I thought that he would come up with the right sort of game plan to beat this guy. And we found out. We found out that apparently, now I'll admit, I didn't even see the fight, but I've read everything about it, the round for round. And apparently, it looks as though one thing I will say that I noticed when I was watching a whole bunch of Bute's older fights was that Bute would land these really devastating shots once the other fighter was kind of worn out or worn down already. The one with Labrado Andrade that put him down, already it came after a big shot. I think it was to the head, if I'm not mistaken. And he landed a big shot to his head, and then it was a body shot later that came after that while he was already sort of dizzied. And some of the other shots to some of the other fighters were like, I can't remember which fighter it was, but it was after this one of his opponents, and I think it was like in the 10th or the 11th round, the guy threw a right arm, and it looked like he just kind of just went, put it just straight out there just to get chopped off, and Bute just came underneath it and nailed him right to the rib cage. And it wasn't necessarily in the course of like the fighters being fresh or very during a very like energetic exchange. It was always more once he had weakened the fighter or the guy was worn out. And most likely these guys, as I said, who are these guys? If they were even any names, a lot of the times they were already washed up guys already. But anyways, it turns out that I said that the fight with Ward, I thought it was a tough fight for Froch, and I said that a tough fight takes a little bit out of anybody. But the fact of the matter is, Froch didn't really get like his ass super kicked. It was a tough fight. There were some tough exchanges, but he didn't get like drilled by Ward. And I still stand by what I say about Ward, that I think he's one of the best. But we all know Ward doesn't appear to have that one punch knockout power, and especially against somebody as tough as Froch, it just wasn't going to happen. But he landed a fair amount of shots that did cause some reasonable damage to Froch. I don't know if that's the right word, but it had an effect on Froch. And so anyways, usually one of two things happens when you have a really, really tough fight against a really tough opponent. It either really takes something out of you or it doesn't, and you learn something from it. And the next time you fight a guy that's not that caliber, it almost is easy. And that certainly appears like what happened. That's what happens when it's like anything in basketball. You play one-on-one with someone that's way better than you. Afterward, you learn, you picked up a whole bunch of things. You shoot pool with someone who knows how to shoot pool a lot better than you. You play poker with somebody that knows a lot more than you. You learn a lot from that session. And then when you go back to where the group of peers that you normally play with, you have an edge on them already because you've had this exposure to someone that's way better than all of you. And I think, I gave Froch credit. I said he's a reasonably smart, intelligent guy, even though he sounds like a complete cocky asshole. But I think beneath all of that, he respects the game, and he respects the fight game, and he is trying to get better and win. And I can't wait to see this fight. I'm sure it'll be on YouTube soon. But man, I was this close to going to Vegas too, and but I didn't. But anyhow, it was yeah, I can't wait to see it. And from now on, that's it. I'm not gonna. I mean, I like to listen to what other people have to say, and sure. But people were outright calling me names in my videos and leaving like these vulgar comments. And you know what I think from now on? The next time I make a video where I get that kind of response, I know I'm right, and I'm gonna go put money on whatever it is that I said that evoked such a response, because the only reason you get those responses is when people feel, you know, uncertain about their fighter, but they love them, so they don't want to hear you say bad things about them. But this was a shit. I mean, I think that Bute against people that are not as good as him. Look, the thing about Mayweather is everybody always said about Mayweather that he's extremely talented, okay, and that he's got all the right moves. He's very defensive. But what's going to happen when he goes up against somebody who's rough and tough? Is all that cuteness going to go out the window? Is he going to get fucked up? Well, no. He's proven already when he got rocked against Mosley and in his tough fight against Cotto, because Cotto's he's the real deal and he's a tough fighter, that he can stand toe to toe and fight it hard, and he can box, and he can sort of mix the two together. But Bute seems like the type of guy that he's real cute with it, with that Philly shell shoulder drop and the real fast hits to the rib cage. But up against somebody who's going to bring it really hard and really strong, he didn't adapt to that, or he just couldn't handle it. He just doesn't have it in him. So, what a result. 5th round, TKO. Unbelievable. But anyways, I said in my original video, I thought it was going to come really late by Froch. I thought it was going to come like in the 12th round. But Bute just couldn't handle it, I guess. Anyhow, boy, it'll be interesting to see who Froch fights next and what they're going to say now about Kessler and Durrell, and there's probably going to be some rematches coming up, and then if Froch clears his name with those guys, we'll probably see him back with Ward again for a nice rematch. And now there's definitely going to be no Bute Ward fight, that's for sure. Ward will kill him, But anyways, later.